the biggest items or the biggest things we've added is lots of enhancements that happened in retention X-ray. So if you go in the details of retention X-ray, there were a few things that we've enhanced it here. So first thing is we added new columns. So you can quickly see the insured name is now showing up. The transaction date is now showing up. And I remember this was requested by one of the brokers who wanted to have a specific workflow in mind that needed the transaction date. So now you'll have transaction date. And I think in the column chooser, we've added even more columns. We've added province because, again, we had one broker wanted to do some specific filtering by province. And I'm trying to remember what are all the extra columns we've added. But you will find them in the release notes as well. The other big thing what we've added as well is now you can access all the columns from the query builder. So before you could have only done some filtering on some of the columns available in retention X-ray. Now you can access all the columns possible in retention X-ray, like even the mark as done. You can even filter on mark done is false, for example, if you want to see everything that's not been followed on yet and it has a renewal, for example, right? So all this will, so you can see here, this is filtering now on everything that you didn't remarket yet. Or if you wanted the opposite, you don't need to go from the query builder. You can also go from here as a shortcut, and then you can change the filter to done. So this will give a lot more power to the brokers because from an operational perspective, a lot of the brokers were so excited to use retention X-ray and they can see the value, but from an operational perspective, they felt that they had to do extra work to follow up on the results coming out of X-ray. All these new enhancements and features we've added should help them automate their daily processes, whether by creating custom filters around the work that they have done or not done, whether creating some custom filters using the transaction date to know only the files. Some brokers work based on what got transacted yesterday or what came in the downloads yesterday. So again, now they have access to this. Again, back in the days, they didn't have visibility in who's the client. They only saw the policy number, but now they can see it. If they have it segmented by province, they can filter on the province. So we've given them a lot more options that they can work with here in retention X-ray. I had another column here for the expiry, and it was causing a lot of confusion because having it here and then sometimes you apply a filter on the expiry date, they would overlap with each other. So what we have done is we took it off and then we made it as a default filter when you come here, and then here, if you click on the query builder, you'll find it like by default selected for you. And then if you don't want it, or maybe you want it to be 60 days, you can just go here and then make it 60 days, and then it will. Oh, one more thing in retention X-ray. Again, it's kind of small, but it was, to be honest, annoying to me, and I'm glad we finally added, is now you can reorder the columns. Before you didn't have this flexibility. So, and it was so annoying to me, especially if like I drag a column like this, and then when we didn't have the column ordering from before, when you drag and drop a column, it usually just gets appended at the very end of the grid. And then now if you try to remove the column that is at the very end of the grid, you couldn't because it was hiding behind this side panel. But now it gave us a lot of kind of like flexibility. Now you can move it, and then you open the column chooser, and then you can remove the columns. So again, giving more usability to the retention X-ray. The other big thing that we actually added in truMobile, there isn't anything that I can show you, but I'm sure all of you would have felt it, is lots of enhancements when it comes to the performance and the speed of loading the app, whether for the brokers or for the end users. So the team has spent a lot of time in the last couple of sprints tweaking the performance of the app, which is I call this the growing pains. Like any other app, the more features you add to it and the more functionality, it starts to slow down, and then we have to come back, take a break, and revisit everything and optimize it. So we've done this in the last sprint, and um, if some of you who might remember, this dashboard used to take like at least 30 seconds to load. But now everything is loading in a matter of seconds. Even like a heavy screen like this one is now loading in like 3-4 seconds. And 3-4 seconds is still considered a lot in the world of web, but when it comes to a page like this that's full of like numbers and metrics, it's very reasonable. And the enhancements not only for the homepage, it's even for all the functionality of the website. So that's another big upgrade that we've done in this. We've heard a lot of use cases related to adding eDocs to the client's file. So if the broker would go into a specific client file and try to add an eDoc, that would have triggered the notifications of the policy notifier. So if you ever had the policy notifier configured from here, configured from the settings, and let's say you said, I want to send notifications whenever a policy change happens or whenever a renewal happens, and then you manually came into the eDocs, and then you added a file to the client, sometimes that could have triggered the notification. So the change that we have made is we've added now a checkbox where while you are adding an eDoc or attaching an eDoc to the client file, there will be an checkbox basically asking you whether do you want to respect sending the notifications, like do you want us to consider running this document through the notification events that you have set up, or do you want to just bypass it altogether and like just silently attach the document to the client file. That way brokers can go and upload any backdated documents to the client file without having to send a notification to the client, because sometimes these notifications could be confusing. Again, an issue we had with the brokers who had Power Broker integration enabled was actually we would have found some duplicated policies or duplicated clients in our system. And the reason why this is happening is because in their Power Broker system, they have the insurance company code as something else, or they have the line of business saying a different code instead of the standard CISU codes like auto, HAB. And that's because Power Broker is a configurable system as well, so the broker could have changed these codes themselves. So we had this feature built from before where we allowed them to do the mapping, but we've just done some enhancements to it. And this mapping here is basically saying, okay, if you see code X coming from Power Broker, it means it's auto in CISU, for example. So we've improved this, and then this is related to the data mapping. And the right back here, these are the events that if the user ever made any of these events through the mobile app, how do we wanted them to propagate in Power Broker? So for example, if a client ever submitted a change request, if we enable this, then that means this will go as an abeyance in the Power Broker system. Um, if we ever send them a communications email out of truMobile, if we enable this, then that means it will go as an activity under the client file in Power Broker. So that way, when they open the client file in Power Broker, they can also see the actions or the activities that this user has been doing from the mobile app. So we've added some enhancements into this because this hasn't been actively used by a lot of brokers, but now um, we will try to encourage them to use it and see the benefits of it. Of course, this is only if you have the Power Broker integration, and in your TrueFlow plugin in Power Broker, uh, we have configured all the settings for you. Client side, guys, lots of performance enhancements. So now it's loading much faster. In one of the biggest updates we've done was in the marketplace again, um, trying to get the marketplace launched for as many brokers as we can. Again, we wanted this to be like the main attractive thing about the truMobile is to let brokers, as Sharif say, do money while they're make them money while they're sleeping. So um, that's why we're pushing to enhance the experience more and more and make it much easier and simpler. The biggest update we've done, I'll show you, was mostly on the payment side to make it very seamless. So once you go in the product and you start buying it, before we used to take them through a lot of steps to select an existing credit card or add a new credit card. And if they added a new credit card, they have to go back and then reselect it again to use it for payment. So we've taken all these steps out, and then we just made it one short step um, to um, to do the payment. So you go next. All your information is pre-populated from your truMobile profile, but if you want to edit it, you can edit it. Then you get to see all the vehicles that you can buy the product on, which is one of the updates the implementation team has done, which is great. Before we used to only like not populate any vehicles, but then let you select from your existing vehicles. I think now we're populating all the vehicles that are eligible for that product, which is great. So the default is we want you to buy the product on all the vehicles eligible. And then you as a user, if you want to say, actually, no, I don't want to buy it on all the vehicles, I just want to buy it on one vehicle, you can remove the vehicles you want, but at least, of course, one is minimum. And then you agree to the terms and conditions and go next. Now, this process, of course, is very specific to CDRA. It will be different from one product to the other. But the part that I want to show you is when you come to the confirmation screen, it's just a simple, like you click pay. And from here, this is all now handled by Stripe, which basically a very seamless process. Every user will have kind of like a client profile in Stripe. So if they have ever paid for any product before, we will capture their credit cards. Not we, but of course the Stripe. We don't store any credit cards at TrueFlow. And then it will come back again here to just reuse it for payment, which will make it much more smoother and seamless process, not to have to ask them to re-enter their credit cards again. And then they just click on that credit card and they process it. So here it is. Okay, so the payment is loaded now. You can click change if you want to change the credit card, or you just submit and then you pay with the credit card you've already added on file. If you click change, you can see all the credit cards you've ever added before, or you can add a new credit card if you want. You can go back and you just click submit, and the whole purchase is done. So that's the payment part in the marketplace. Sorry, back again to the part where I was talking about the policies. Now, when you're inside a policy screen, um, let's say you go in a policy screen here, and so first, yeah, there's only one policy here, so maybe that's not a good example. But if you're in a specific policy screen, you can now navigate next and previous between policies. In the mobile app, it's more of like a swipe right, swipe left to navigate between the different policies you have. Again, just smaller enhancements. You don't need to go all the way up to the home page to access another policy. We've done some enhancements as well when it comes to these breadcrumbs. So these breadcrumbs now are more interactive, more clickable. So, and we're adding more enhancements to it because, for example, this last kind of part of the breadcrumbs, they didn't reflect the full path. And we've done this in the broker side, and we're doing more enhancements to it on the client side. So in the next few sprints, you'll notice some enhancements coming to this as well.